Election day in San Antonio has come and gone, but still a lot of races undecided, and the results of others perhaps sending a message about where San Antonio goes from here. So in today's KSAT Q&A, we want to bring in Gilbert Garcia, San Antonio Express News political columnist, to weigh in on what we saw play out on Saturday. Gilbert, thanks for being here. I appreciate your time. We'll get to the individual races here in just a minute, but I'd just like to start with your overall impression of election night.
Well, I think that it was definitely a show of support and a vote of confidence for Mayor Ron Nirenberg. I was struck 2 years ago when he had that close race with Greg Brockhouse. I was spending some time at Brook Hollow, which a polling site on the north side that has a lot of turnout, and I remember getting the sense that there were people who had some qualms about Brockhouse, but were not really sold on the mayor. They had maybe not necessarily accepted him as their mayor yet. And I think that in the past year, with his handling of the COVID crisis, with his ability to get the workforce development proposition passed, I think that he really closed the deal with San Antonio voters in a way that he maybe didn't do in his first term.
So the turnout was a pleasant surprise to me. Is the turnout numbers not only on election day, but really the last day of early voting seemed to really ramp up the turnout. Is there any doubt in your mind that Prop B drove some of this turnout, whether you were for it or against it?
No, I think that's where all the energy was, and obviously there was a lot of energy on both sides. You had police reform advocates thinking that repealing collective bargaining was the answer, and then you had a lot of people who supported the police union, and not only that, but saw defeating Proposition B as a cause that was synonymous with backing the blue. So there was a lot of emotion on that issue. And one of the things that I looked at is comparing this election cycle with 2013, when Julian Castro was running for his third term, as Mayor Nirenberg was this time. In 2013, we had 7% turnout, and Julian Castro got 29,000 votes. This time around, we had better than 17% turnout, and Ron Nirenberg got 92,000 votes. So it was really a remarkable difference, even if you take the population changes into account. But I think a lot of it was that people were coming out because Proposition B was something that they wanted to weigh in on.
And I'm just curious what you think going forward, the results of such a tight race on Prop B, what do you think the implications of that may be? Because a lot of people look at the police union as a political machine, even though there were no endorsements from them this time. There certainly have been in the past. But to have San Antonio voters so evenly split almost on that very issue, what do you think that says politically about where that issue needs to progress?
One thing that's really interesting is in the last 7 or 8 years, I've seen a shift in the way police union politics is perceived locally, and maybe elsewhere too. 7 or 8 years ago, I talked to a lot of conservatives, a lot of Republicans who had strong opposition to the police union. They thought this is when the debate was really about their benefits packages, and a lot of conservatives thought, they're getting these rich benefits at the taxpayer's expense. Now the issue is more about police reform, and again, it's about, in the eyes of many people, about supporting the police. So when I talk to people who were knocking on doors on this issue, my sense was that Republicans were overwhelmingly opposed to Proposition B, but Democrats were split, and I think that was the problem for the Proposition B cause, that you have a lot of sort of old school liberal Democrats who very much believe in organized labor, and even if they had some issues with the police union, they believe in collective bargaining.
Do you think the margin matters here? It's a question I asked the police union president. Does the margin matter, how big the deficit is, in Prop B going down? He said yes, for a lot of different reasons. Basically, it showed support for the union and things like that. Do you think it matters as it goes to his negotiations now?
I think there will be a psychological factor. I really do think that there was a consciousness within police union politics, labor negotiations, an understanding that the climate has changed recently, particularly since the George Floyd murder. And you've seen people like Ron DeLorde, who's been the chief negotiator for the police union in San Antonio. He's been involved in this for decades, a staunch defender of police union rights, and he has publicly stated in recent months, times have changed. We're going to have to accept reform in a way that we haven't before. So I think that there was already some understanding of that, But I think that the closeness of this election, I think, will also drive home the point to the union that there needs to be serious negotiation on police reform. And the city council, I don't believe, would pass a contract unless it hits certain benchmarks on the reform issue.
Let's talk about some of the runoffs that we have ahead of us. There were crowded fields in so many of these city council races. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9 now headed to runoffs. Which ones are you keeping perhaps the closest eye on?
I look at the 3 council incumbents who face runoffs. I think the incumbent who is probably in the biggest political trouble would be Jada Andrews Sullivan, District 2 on the east side. She was about 10 percentage points behind Jayla McHugh Rodriguez, who's a young teacher, very much a movement progressive. And I think one of the things that's interesting about this election is that both in District 2, with Jayla McHugh Rodriguez, and District 5, Terry Castillo on the west side, these were both sort of movement conservative progressives who supported Proposition B. So the Proposition B cause sort of carries on through them. But I think that, he worked for her in her council office. He had a lot of criticisms of how she conducted herself. And he's got a lot of energy behind his campaign. So I think that that's one that will be really interesting to watch.
Gilbert Garcia with the San Antonio Express News political columnist. Always enjoy your columns. Always enjoy your insights when you share them with us here on KSAT. So I appreciate the time, Gilbert.
Thank you.